All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. This is Marsh Noel, Assistant to the City Manager for the City of Riviera Beach. For the record, it is August 1st at 5 p.m. Tonight's call is going to be about Hurricane Isaias. You will be hearing updates from members of our Emergency Operations Center to include the City Manager, Mr. Evans, Operations Section Chief, Chief Kurd, Planning Section Chief, Mr. Bailey, and then also our guest from the Riviera Beach CRA, Ms. Anita Jenkins. Afterwards, we will open it up for any question and answers that members of the community may have. And just so that you know, this call is being broadcast and recorded on Riviera Beach Channel 18, Hotwire Communications, YouTube, and Facebook. So while we are discussing tonight's topics, we ask that you please share on social media and let those that you know about tonight's call so that they can be informed with the valuable information that's going to be shared shortly. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start with remarks from our City Manager, Jonathan Evans.
Good evening, everyone, and hopefully everyone is safe as we brace for the impact associated with Isaias. This particular storm has been downgraded to a tropical storm, and we don't anticipate it strengthening as it gets ready to impact the coastline here in South Florida. One of the things that I think is important to note is that even though we have seen some of the conditions of the storm deteriorate as it relates to its strength and intensity, the impact here in Palm Beach County, especially here in Riviera Beach, could be a situation where we experience 50 to 60 mile an hour sustained winds, and that may come for a significant duration. The storm is slowing down somewhat, and the next 36 hours for us as a community are going to be rough. We anticipate that there will be down street lights, where stop signs, trash and debris, tree limbs, those types of things. We do have crews on the ready that will be able to go out and respond accordingly once the conditions are improved. If you do see anything in the community and want to call that in, you will hear later on the call a number that we will be staffing 24 hours a day until we pass through this particular storm event. The storm surge that we anticipate on our coastline is anywhere between 1 to 3 feet. Not something that we can that we're too thrilled about, but considering that we're on the weaker side of the storm, it's certainly better than what conditions in other communities that have been impacted with this particular storm. Shelters have been opened for individuals that fall within the category of Zone A. It's a voluntary evacuation. It's primarily for mobile homes, people that live in flood-prone areas, and at-risk housing. There's approximately about 150 people in the shelters, and that was information that was communicated through Palm Beach County. If you do have to go to the shelter, utilize that as an option of last resort. They are encouraging individuals to shelter in place. We do anticipate some roads to be impassable due to the heavy rains, and we're asking you, if you see standing water, please do not drive through the standing water because that invariably will impact your car, and once the winds get up to a certain mile an hour, it is challenging for public safety apparatus to go ahead and effectuate a rescue, so please be conscientious of that. About a day ago, we communicated to the community about the information that we received from Waste Management that the Solid Waste Authority had closed as a result of the impending storm, and we have put out a robocall to the residents encouraging them, if they weren't able to see the information that we broadcast on the city's social media outlets and on the webpage, to collect those items and make sure that they are stored indoors, as well as any items that are that could be projectiles. Your city staff has gone and driven all 80 roadway miles within the community to ensure that we removed any trash, waste, or debris. We did some pruning of some trees, and prepared crews to address areas that we know are prone for flooding. If you have your vehicle, or if anyone in your neighborhood has their vehicle parked in front of any stormwater infrastructure, we are asking that you please inform them that it is our request that they move those vehicles into the yard or even onto the curb, and do not obstruct the flow of water. If we can get vehicles off the roadway, the stormwater infrastructure will work a lot better, and prohibit or actually alleviate the drainage on the roadway, and we can be able to get the roadways open and passable as quickly as possible. We are looking that as soon as the situation is clear, bringing crews in to start a community cleanup to address some of those areas that we know we will be impacting as a result of the storm. Please know that we will do everything in our power to respond to all public safety related calls until it gets to a situation where the winds are over, sustained winds over 40 to 45 miles an hour, where it is challenging for public safety apparatus to be able to respond. When you do look at any options, if you feel compelled to look at sheltering, please make sure that you visit Palm Beach County's website to see what they are requesting and what needs to occur in the event that you choose to shelter. We did go to Riviera Estates, which is commonly referred to as Stony Brook. That particular development falls under Zone A. We did provide information to them that said that it was a recommendation for them to go to the shelters, and we did attempt to provide transportation. None of the residents chose to leave the facility at this particular moment, but staff is ready in the event that we need to go ahead and respond accordingly. We are also working in collaboration with the CRA to be able to augment both operations, whether the CRA can assist the city on the city side and the city assisting the CRA and vice versa. So Ms. Anita Jenkins will speak what the CRA has done to shore up some of the facilities over at the Marina Event Center to ensure that there is limited to no damage as a result of this storm. I am going to go ahead and turn the call over to Chief Kurt, our operational section chief that's been tracking this storm early on and getting briefed from the Emergency Operations Center in Palm Beach County. And he can provide you some real-time updates on what the storm is doing and what the impact is projected to be here in the city of Riviera Beach. Chief Kurt?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Thank you, everyone, for joining the call. Hopefully, at this point in time, you've all made the appropriate arrangements. You are sheltered in place and preparing for what is going to be a long night of inclement weather. We just received the 5 o'clock update from the National Weather Service, and the former Hurricane Isaias is now a tropical storm with sustained winds decreasing now to 70 miles an hour. While there may be some strengthening over the evening, there is a slim possibility that it may meet the thresholds of what is a Category 1 hurricane again, but it is not expected to strengthen much more beyond that. So we are going to be dealing with a significant tropical storm that is going to be making its way just east of our coast here over the next 12 to 24 hours. It is slowing in forward direction. At one time, it was moving 16 miles an hour. We've seen it decrease down to 12 miles an hour, and there's an anticipation that it will decrease in forward speed to 10 miles an hour as it starts to make that north-northwest, hopefully that north turn on Sunday that we're all anticipating. Evacuations of Zone A have been going on all day, and those, again, are voluntary evacuations. Kudos to our Riviera Beach Police Department, who has had crews out on the roads all day, informing residents in our trailer park communities, in some of our other communities, Azura States. We also have vacation in out on Military Trail, going door to door, informing all of the residents of those evacuations and their options. Again, your primary option, if you are choosing to evacuate and you reside in what is considered a Zone A, please ensure that your first option would be to stay with friends and or family. Option of last resort would be a shelter. The shelter for our area is located at Palm Beach Gardens High School. There are other shelters in the area. If anybody else is watching this who has friends and family in another city here in Palm Beach County looking for sheltering, Palm Beach Central High School is also a shelter. Park Vista High School is also a shelter. And Lakeshore Middle School in the Belle Glade area is also a shelter. All individuals registered for special needs sheltering have been contacted, and their issues have all been addressed at this point in time. As Mr. Evans said, when we reach certain levels of sustained winds, we are forced with what's known as a go, no-go scenario. Fire rescues policy based on the size of our apparatus and the wind speeds to topple those apparatus is sustained winds above 45 miles an hour. So inevitably, we will see sustained winds above 45 miles an hour. At that time, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, our dispatch center, puts out an all-tone no-go. So please understand that during the height of the storm, if there is an emergency, while we might not be able to respond immediately, we look for breaks within the bands so that we can go out and prioritize calls. Abdominal pain may be treated different as chest pain may be treated different as an earache. So please be mindful of your situation, be mindful of the conditions that we're dealing with, and we ask for your understanding and that we will do anything possible to respond to calls for service as long as we can do it safely. If we do go through, when we go through the storm this evening, we can expect to see intermittent power outages. We don't expect widespread power outages. However, inevitably, with a storm of this type, there will be power outages in some form or fashion. We do know that many of our residents have generators available to power some of the essential needs within their homes. In the event of loss of power, we just urge to our community that generator safety is adhered to, making sure the generator is being run in a well-ventilated area, not a closed garage, making sure when refueling of the generator is done, it is done with the generator off and it being allowed to cool. And we just want to make sure that extension cords that are being used are not pinched in doorways or windows that could possibly pose a fire hazard to any of our residents. We will continue to monitor this storm. I don't want to say in any way, shape, or form that we've gotten lucky, but we have dodged a severe hurricane while we will deal with a tropical storm and we will see the impacts. The situations could have been a lot worse. A last bit of information before I turn it back over. With the anticipated power outages, I would suggest that individuals fully charge their cell phones now. Make sure they have their flashlight. If you don't have flashlights and you are going to use candles for lighting in the event of a power outage, please ensure that those candles are in some type of container or dish in an open area and not in an area where it's cluttered or the flame could catch something nearby on fire. And we will be here for you throughout the evening, and we wish everybody the best, and please be safe out there as we get through this together. And I turn it back over to you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Chief Kurd. Now we'll go ahead and have our planning section chief, Mr. Terrence Bailey, who is running the crews that will be responding and have responded as a result of this hurricane. Mr. Bailey?
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Community, please know that the Public Works Department, as well as development services and code enforcement, have spent the last 2 days in preparation for this storm. We've been knocking on doors, doing door hangers to make sure there is as little debris, trash cans, and other potential items that may go airborne during the storm. We ask that if you are on a Saturday pickup, that you would go and retrieve your trash cans as soon as possible so they can be secured before the winds begin to pick up later this evening. It is anticipated as soon as the winds die down tomorrow in the afternoon, Public Works, Development Services, and Code Enforcement will return and do damage assessment as well as cleanup. As you can imagine, with the heavy rains and wind, we anticipate downed trees. So our first priority will be to clear and make passable all roads within the city. We will then move after that triage into cleanup mode and assisting residents. We ask all residents that you be very careful if you're going to leave your homes. As I said, there will be downed trees. There will be debris in the roads that could give you a flat tire. There may be downed power lines. You should certainly anticipate every stop is an automatic four-way stop, as stop signs may also be down, and we anticipate potentially signal heads at intersections may be blinking yellow, blinking red, or the signals may be down. We do ask that you treat every intersection in the city during this emergency as a four-way stop for both your safety and the safety of the other residents. And one other thing, we ask, if at all possible, not to have any cars parked in the road. If we could pull all vehicles onto driveways and property, this will make public safety's ability to respond timely that much better. As you know, some of our roads are quite narrow, and in the event that there are cars parked in the street, it could force public safety to have to take another alternative route, adding time to their response within the neighborhoods. Again, we ask everyone to be safe out there, and that is your planning report. I'll return it to you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. At this time, I'm going to allow for Ms. Anita Jenkins to report on the activities that the CRA is doing to ensure the safety of the facilities and the community. Ms. Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. Evans, and hello, fellow residents. The CRA, firstly, is providing assistance and backup to our public safety teams and our public works teams as well. We've had ambassadors out yesterday and today picking up loose material, palm fronds, securing garbage cans, emptying them so that there are not projectiles free during the high winds that are anticipated. We've also taken steps to secure the marina. You will notice that signage has been removed to the extent that we can so that it will not become loose. The beach area, of course, is closed. The kiosks are closed. The restaurant there at the marina is closed, and we have secured the Marina Event Center. We've also secured our large community garden, taking down signage and taking in seedlings so that they will not become projectiles. And we'll have a team out through the evening providing assistance in the CRA to the extent that they can. And as soon as it is safe to go out, we will have ambassadors patrolling and rolling through the neighborhood and through the marina, picking up debris and assisting to the extent that they can. And we're there. We've tried to protect our assets within the CRA, and we wish that our community will be safe, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. And our last presenter on the public communications piece, Ms. Marcia Noel, Assistant to the City Manager. Ms. Noel?
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Really quickly, just a few updates regarding our communications. One, we want to certainly encourage our community to stay connected with the city, online, on social media, on our city's website. As new information becomes available, we're going to be working around the clock to push out that information so that the community is aware, so please stay tuned. Next, the city has established a 48-hour community hotline for any questions or concerns regarding what is now Tropical Storm Isaias. Therefore, you can contact 561 812 6590. I'll say that again, 561 812 6590 for information that you would like to share regarding the tropical storm. This line has been activated today at 5 p.m. and it will stay open until Monday, August 3rd at 8 a.m. Once you call that line, it'll take you to our non-emergency dispatch, who will then schedule a return call to you to hear back from an assigned city staff to take down your concern and also to respond to you. Next, you can also provide any service requests that you have for the city online on our website, rivierabeach.org. You simply have to go down to the bottom of the webpage and you can click the service request tab. That way, we can track every request that is coming in regarding Hurricane Isaias. And also, we will be holding another update regarding the tropical storm tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's going to be the same information you use to join this line, but we'll also make sure to push out advertisement on this on social media and our website. With that, that concludes my report. And
thank you, Ms.
I'm sorry, and being that that's the last one, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Mr. Evans. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of things before we go ahead and open up for any questions that the public may have. Just to reiterate the point, the number that was provided, that will be a live person that will be picking up the phone and then providing the information to a staff person that will be accessible 24 hours, whether it's today, tomorrow, and into Monday. We anticipate staffing the line with personnel all the way into Monday to ensure that our residents can get their issues resolved. If you do have the ability to utilize electronic means, our Q alert system is a great way. If there is something that is out in the community, that will be monitored all evening long as well as early in the morning, and that's usually the work order system that the public works crews utilize when they do go out in the facilities or go out in the community to address any concerns. We know that there is possibility of intermittent power loss. If there is lines that are down, please inform law enforcement immediately. And then ultimately, if you do communicate it to us, we can share that information with FPL to get the power restored as quickly as possible. We know that things are ever evolving as it relates to this storm. So please, if you haven't done everything that you need to do, you only have a limited time as we're seeing inclement weather rolling in here over the last couple of hours. I would encourage anyone in the community to please look to be off the road by at least 7 p.m. We expect conditions to increasingly deteriorate as we go later on into the evening and in the early parts of the morning. So your safety and well-being is certainly our priority, and we don't want you to get caught out in any of this inclement weather that we will be experiencing as a result of this storm. If you would like to ask any questions of the staff team that has assembled for this evening's call, at this moment, if you would hit *9, then Ms. Noel would be able to unmute your line and you can ask your question, and we will try our best to respond or point you in the right direction.
And I'll give it a few seconds for anyone who has questions.
Okay.
All right. Seeing that there are no questions, we can wrap it up. And just before we do, Mr. Evans, I forgot to mention one thing, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yep, and I think that it's this is an opportune time also to let our community know that if you are not already registered in our emergency notification system, which is through our police department, you can provide your phone number to us to be included in that registration, so that if we have to send out any calls through phone numbers, we'll have yours listed so that you too can receive any recorded messages during times of emergency. So please go to rivierabeach.org. At the bottom of that website, just click the emergency notifications tab to register your phone number. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being on the line. Please be safe out there, and know that there is always someone that you can call. The City of Riviera Beach is poised and ready to work with the CRA to ensure that we get through this together. And the information is all available on our social media outlets as well as on our city website. Please be safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.